And welcome again to Gangneung. We're here on the east coast of the Republic of Korea, and it's World Championship Para Ice Hockey. And of course, you're looking across the Olympic Park and the Paralympic Park, where in Pyeongchang 2018, it's going to be here in Gangneung that the Para Ice Hockey Championship gold is going to be contested. But it's the World Championship gold that's at stake right now. And we are looking over top of what is a fabulous, beautiful park here, and inside we're going to go and have a look at what could be potentially a gold medal match to come. Welcome inside the Gangneung Hockey Center, and our Game Day 5 coverage continues, and it's our second match of the day. It's the United States of America and Canada, both of them sitting at the top of the tournament standings at the moment. Canada with 4 games played, and the United States with 3 games as a result of having that first opening day off. And the action going on here is going to be thick and fast to come. Welcome, I'm Brent Pope, alongside me Mike Kelly. And Mike, we have talked about this one from the onset. This potentially could be the gold medal match still to come on day 8. We're still only in day 5. This is the preliminary round, but you get a very real sense that this game really matters.
Well, there doesn't have to be a medal on the line for these two countries to get up to play against each other. Such a storied hockey rivalry in every facet of hockey, whether it's men's, whether it's women's, whether it's para ice hockey. It's Canada, it's the United States. They're the only 2 undefeated teams in this tournament right now. And when you look at World Championship play overall, they've met 8 times in history. 4 wins for Canada, 4 for the United States. Each team has won 3 World Championship gold medals in their history. It's as even as it gets. It's Canada, the US. And like I said, you don't have to have a medal on the line for these 2 teams to go out and battle hard. And we're expecting a great game today.
So it's entirely in the balance over the next 45 minutes. We may have to go to extra time, who knows? But both of these teams have been getting the job done already on the ice. And Mike had an opportunity to catch up with the Canadian coach, Mike Babby, ahead of this game, and he'll give us his thoughts.
So, Coach, the last time these 2 hockey nations met at a World Championship, it was a 3-0 American win in the gold medal game in 2015. There's been a lot of time to think about facing this team again here on this kind of stage. What's the mood like right now before the game?
Well, I think our guys are all looking forward towards the game. I mean, anytime you play a good team like the United States, it's a challenge and it's competitive, and our guys are really looking forward to the game. Should be a good game.
What have you seen so far from this American team as you've watched this tournament in the first half?
Well, I think they're a fast, highly skilled puck possession style team, and they've got a lot of experience there and success in winning. So, they're a good team.
They've been such a great team over the years in terms of the speed and the mobility on the back end that they have in their defensemen, and you guys seem to have that now as well, with Adam Dixon playing as well as he is, with Bowden as well. Can you talk a little bit about Dixon and Bowden and how they played back there, helping move the puck up the ice?
Well, we think both those players have really added to our game, and we can move the puck up the ice with speed, precision, and make some good passes. That gives you a better opportunity to maybe create some offense off that. So, you need to be an up-tempo team in terms of offense, and it starts at the back end, breaking out of your zone, and then jumping in on a rush.
Is there one key, is there one thing as you look at this matchup that you can say, if Canada does this, we have a great chance to win this hockey game?
Well, I think we have to contain their speed and have some structure in our game. I mean, if you give the United States a lot of time and space, they're going to hurt you. So we're going to go out and play our game and give them our best game. And if we do that, we like our chances.
Great. We appreciate it, Coach. Enjoy the game.
Thank you.
Coach Ken Babby is typical jovial self before this game, and one of the things he talked about, the speed on the back end from the United States of America, is something that the Canadians will have to try to keep in check, try to limit their ability to play with the puck, because as we know, guys like Landeros and Paul so mobile on the back end for Team USA. That will be one key to this game for the Canadians as they get set for easily their stiffest competition of this tournament so far.
And you talk about the Americans and how you have to deal with the Americans. Of course, they have their viewpoint on who they're playing today, the Canadians, and that will be their sternest test, as you say, Mike. And you had an opportunity to catch up with the American head coach, Guy Gosselin, ahead of this match.
Coach, this was a game I'm sure both countries had circled on the calendar at the start of this World Championship, and the game time is almost here. What's the mood like in the room right now?
I think the guys are getting focused and they're ready to play.
What's going to be a key for victory for you as you've watched Canada play in this tournament? You've seen your team and how your team has played. What's a key to success for you guys?
Well, puck possession, speed, and tempo of our game. We know two great teams are getting on the ice tonight.
What have you seen from the Canadian defense? They look a lot more mobile perhaps than they have been in years past. They've got Bowden on the back end now, and Adam Dixon has been putting up a ton of points, having a lot of success. How do you keep that defense from really dictating a lot of the play for them?
Well, we need to understand that the attack comes in waves and not to chase and be in proper defensive position.
How big of a key will it be for your top line guys like Farber and Roybal as well to be key contributors in this game?
Well, you know, we always count on that line to contribute, and hopefully everybody will step it up a notch.
Steve Cash, the goaltender for you guys, he's had such a great history with this team. Hasn't faced a ton of action so far in this tournament yet. How's he feeling coming into the game?
I think Steve feels great, and like I say, we've got a few games under our belt, and everybody's acclimated, and they're focused.
Best of luck out there.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Guy Gosselin will be leaning heavily on that loaded up top line of the Americans of McKee, Farmer, and Roybal. For the Canadians, it's a little bit more of a balanced attack. They have two really efficient scoring lines, one centered by Greg Westlake, the other by Billy Bridges. And then, of course, you have the tournament leader in scoring, the defenseman, Adam Dixon. So a lot of opportunities for offense on both sides as we get set for what's bound to be a phenomenal game. The Canadians haven't allowed a goal in the tournament, and the Americans just won.
Lots of dimension to this particular matchup, and both of these teams bring a little bit of something different to the table. We'll have a look at some of the things they need to be keying on here today. For the United States of America, it's all about speed. If they can play a fast game, they could potentially break down this Canadian defense and maybe score the first game or goal of the tournament against this Canadian side. They've got to stay disciplined. The Americans, if they get into a battle with the Canadians physically, they might not win that battle. They need to stay out of the penalty box and be smart, and their game is all about puck management and puck possession. If they have the puck on their stick, they're not going to concede goals, and they're very capable of keeping the puck on their stick with their active mobility forwards and defensemen. They're able to move that puck and to keep it live.
For Canada, they have to match the United States in the goaltending in this game. The U.S. going with Steve Cash. He is clearly the #1 goaltender on that team. The Canadians they've been going with a rotation in this tournament, 2 games apiece for each goaltender, but it will be Dominic Larocque. Finish your chances. The Americans don't give up a ton, so when the Canadians get an opportunity, they have to find a way to bury it, and being physical as well. The Americans, you could certainly argue, the fastest team in this tournament, especially that top line like we talk about, and the great mobility on the back end. One way to try to slow them down, be physical. That's what the Canadians will be looking to do.
So the stage is set. It is all that just awaits us now is the beginning of a titanic clash here in para ice hockey, the World Championships here in Gangneung. Make sure to join us for our coverage is coming up in a moment's time. For Brent Pope and Mike Kelly, we'll be right back with you. And welcome back inside the Gangneung Hockey Center as both teams are just awaiting and really ultimately chomping at the bit to get out onto the ice. Of course, it's the referees and officials that will lead that parade as we look at our officials making their way forward. And we'll just see as they make their way through the penalty box area. It is Ovid Luthka, the Norwegian referee, in charge of this one. It's Andreas Lunden from Sweden and David Nothiger from Austria in charge of this one. So European officials in charge of this North American affair. And really, we don't expect there to be too much that is controversial in this one, but when emotions are high and stakes are high, this could be a very interesting hockey game on that front.
Canada, the United States. Again, it's easy to get up for these games if you're playing on either respective side, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of physicality in this game. I'm sure we'll see a lot of emotion as the Americans and the Canadians get set to take the ice. It's really been a little bit of a changing of the guard in recent years in para ice hockey. The Canadians were certainly elite in this sport for a long time. The Americans have taken that #1 ranking of late. As I mentioned, they won the 2015 World Championship, looking to go back-to-back. Since the 2014-15 season, the teams have met 11 times. The USA has won 9 of those games and outscored Canada 29-12. So a bit of a changing of the guard, but as we've watched this tournament in particular, there's reason to believe that the Canadians look every bit as good as the Americans. We take a look at the Canadian roster, and one player to focus on the back end, obviously Adam Dixon, the tournament leader in scoring. He's got 14 points. He has been brilliant for this team. And then there's so much depth up front. Greg Westlake, terrific leader of this team. He hasn't been on the scoreboard a ton in the last couple games, but he's capable of breaking out in a big way as he scored 4 times in the first 2 games. You got Billy Bridges. You got Tyler McGregor, so creative with the puck. Liam Hickey. It goes on and on and on for Canada.
Well, you might watch out for Greg Westlake, who didn't get a goal in that big victory over Sweden, or didn't get a point in that one. He might be one to watch that might break out in a big game like this and could be a difference maker for Canada. As we look now at the American roster, Steve Cash will probably get his sternest test of the day, and we say he really is undisputably the #1, and we say that because of the success of the team of the United States and equally his numbers as an individual. But we, through this entire lineup here, really number 15 and number 27 on the blue line, the 2 assistant captains, Nico Landeros and Josh Pauls, will provide the speed up front. Brodie Roybal, Declan Farmer, that line with Kevin McKee, but it has been Declan Farmer's show so far. 7 goals is the new USA record in the World Championships.
He's been brilliant. He's just a kid, Declan Farmer is. 19 years of age from Tampa, Florida. Scored 6 goals in the last World Championship. He's got 7 already through just 3 games. Only halfway through the preliminary tournament as we see Andy Yohe and Greg Westlake, the 2 captains of these 2 great hockey countries, getting set to shake hands over by the benches before we kick this thing off. And over the next 45 minutes, that's about as friendly as these 2 teams will be with each other, as I'm sure we'll have handshakes after the game as well. But for the 45 minutes in between whistles, it is going to be a battle out there. And you know Ken Babby and Guy Gosselin have been looking forward to this game since this tournament began.
Well, of the 2 coaches, Ken Babby, a little bit more jovial, as you mentioned in the pregame interview, just talking about where he felt his team was at and where they think they need to go in order to be successful in this tournament. And he was just, as you say, you broke the ice by asking him what he had for breakfast today, and he was only too obliging. And Guy Gosselin equally the same, but Guy Gosselin was sort of short and to the point, very purposeful in his answers today. And I think they understand the United States of America, that if they want to lead themselves up to potentially that gold medal game in the right way, they just need to keep themselves entirely on point today with their performance.
Well, we talked about the more balanced attack for Canada. The United States, they have that loaded up top line with Farmer, McKee, and Roybal. Canada's got 2 lines very capable of scoring, like we mentioned. Billy Bridges and Liam Hickey with 13 points each lead all Canadian forwards in scoring, and that's a de facto second line, as it's Westlake, Cozzolino, and McGregor starting for the Canadians, and that potent offensive line of Farmer, McKee, and Roybal starting for the Americans. So power against power as we get set to drop the puck. It's Canada, USA getting underway.
And the puck is dropped, and Landeros, who takes that wide position just to get that advantage with the puck. He goes across here to the near side in the neutral zone, and both teams equally as ready to advance and to compete for those 50-50 pucks. This is a real determined shift here from Tyler McGregor to get onto it first, and it's very difficult to beat this American team speed-wise. What a hit from Landeros, though, as he punishes McGregor with an absolute huge body check, and I think McGregor was a little bit stunned by that force coming in on him.
We talked about the Canadians maybe trying to set the tempo physically to start things off. That's a huge hit by Landeros and a nice feed by Farmer, but coming across the middle with a huge hit of his own is Steve Arsenault.
And Brodie Roybal gets cut in half. He's lost half of his equipment. That's his stick, and that's effectively like losing your skate blade. As now Farmer will pick up the loose change, and he'll return with interest, but immediately the Canadians are going right to those two players and trying to manage their speed. If you give them too much time to the neutral zone, they can really make life difficult for you in your own defensive zone. As it is Larocque in goal, and we look at Larocque's numbers, they're equal to Corbin Watson's numbers in this tournament. Both players with 90 minutes of time, no goals against, but this is the hit of Landeros in on McGregor.
Well, Landeros comes rifling through here, and he makes a huge body check, and then across the middle, you see Farmer getting the puck over to his winger there, Roybal, and Steve Arsenault says you're gonna have to work a lot harder than that to get to the middle of the ice against us. A nice open ice hit there. 1 minute and 4 seconds in, we don't have a shot on goal yet, but a couple thunderous hits as both these teams try to set the tone in this game.
We haven't seen a hit as hard as that Landeros hit on McGregor, and Landeros had a pretty good run in at him as McGregor was just trying to find that puck in amongst his sled, and there really he did well, McGregor, just to stay with it and get himself rebounded back. There's Shaw's, and you expect to see him in the physical stakes as he comes across on Hickey, and Hickey has quietly gone about and has become the third leading scorer in his tournament. There's Adam Dixon, comes up and tries to catch the American at the blue line, and both teams are just as happy to play that game already. As you're seeing, they are looking, if they can, those kind of almost search and destroy missions to really level the physicality early.
Well, it's an effective way to slow down the speed of your opposition, and these are the two quickest teams in the tournament. The Canadian defense showing that they're happy to step up here, and the issue with that is that if you don't make that hit, you could end up with an odd man rush going in behind you, but so far it's worked out well for Arsenault and Dixon.
It really is a risky chance here as it just Armstrong advancing that puck. He had Delaney ahead of him, but just trying to step up here in para ice hockey. You have to come forward as a defenseman, of course, and try to take on a player coming at you so hard. Tough to measure, tough to get him, but this is the hit on Hickey from Shaw's, and it really is a chance, but if it pays off, it certainly pays dividends.
Well, it's a long game as well, and we've talked already in this tournament about these athletes, how strong they are in their upper bodies, propelling themselves along the ice, and it's so difficult to do for 45 minutes. So when you watch the physicality of a game, it's a good way to try to wear down your opponent as well as it goes on.
This is Westlake and the interchange with Cozzolino. This line, McGregor out there. Now McGregor is going to try to put his impact on one of these American defenders, and he's got Cozzolino right with him. And they, again, down deep in that corner, it's Westlake as the support player, just waiting for this puck to potentially come out. So this is the matchup that Babby has gone with. This line of McGregor, Westlake, and Cozzolino up against the American line of Declan Farmer, Brodie Roybal, and Kevin McKee. So those are deemed their best matchups. The visiting team is the Canadians today, so they don't get last line change. It's the Americans who get the last line change. So maybe that's a comment about Guy Goslin and how he sees his matchup today.
I think Guy Goslin's happy to throw this line out against anybody in the world. They've been so dominant, and hoping that if he has this line out there against Canada's line of Westlake, it's a good way to try to keep them in the defensive zone, ultimately keep them off the score sheet.
Cozzolino gets hit hard, and Landeros has delivered a couple big, thunderous hits so far in this hockey game, and both times separating the player from the puck, and equally a real jolt. And Landeros has got that extreme upper body strength that he has used to his advantage early, but this has been turned over, and the Americans are looking to create some mayhem here as McKee goes off the short side. It doesn't actually register as a shot on goal, but right there to it is Larocque making sure that it's safely kept at bay. The Americans have done well here, and they've had the majority of zone time offensively so far in these opening 4 minutes of play. It's Farmer in the corner. Westlake comes firing in on him, and Farmer just smartly changed his body position and has Westlake go hard into the boards, but Canada come and tidy up. This is a good play by Bowden, and that's a little play from Bowden that maybe is a big part of what he brings to the table mobility-wise for Canada, although that one will go the length of the ice. There looks to be a penalty coming, and it's going to be going against Brodie Roybal. I think an elbowing call, and Canada will get the first power play of the hockey game.
A great bit of stick handling there that we saw in the corner as the Canadians were trying to get out of the zone. And ultimately it leads to an elbowing penalty against the United States and Roybal. But that was stick handling in a phone booth there by Bowden. And the end result, or by Hickey rather, and the end result is that the Americans end up taking a penalty. So as the US just had a whole bunch of zone time, it looked like 2 minutes in the Canadian zone there at even strength. Now the Canadians will have 2 minutes to play with here with the man advantage in the American zone.
And interestingly, as much as this is the player advantage for Canada, Bowden comes right in, and it's a blocker save from Cash. You often see this American penalty kill release themselves to be more aggressive and to try to pursue the opposing team's defenses, but it's Shaw's now out there on the forecheck. He's the first player to try to separate Dixon from the puck. It's Dixon and Bowden on the back end for Canada. Now Declan Farmer has come right in, and he takes the Canadians off the puck and certainly slows things up, and they've done well to disrupt this Canadian approach, as now they'll be sent in behind their own goal again.
Well, there was a 2-on-2 puck battle on the boards, and when you have the man advantage, you want to get an extra guy in there to try to win those battles. The Americans win it, they end up dumping the puck in. And so far through 45 seconds, the Canadians haven't managed much here with the man advantage.
This is Bowden stepping up into the rush. He's got Bridges on his right wing. Bridges has it come into his sled. Can the Canadians get there first? Declan Farmer just finds a way to slide it down the length of the ice. And will they go for line changes? They don't. They elect to stay out there. They're just as comfortable at taking these more difficult minutes, but it seems to really free up this American tandem. They like to be out here with this opportunity, but of course Roybal in the box, so he's not out here, and Declan Farmer will come in and support his teammates and play it back again for Westlake.
Landero's throwing another huge hit there in the defensive zone.
And that's the feed, trying to go diagonally across. That bounce and ricochets, and Cash will just scoop it up. Landeros again, as you say, has started fast for the United States and has played physically, has also, of course, you see speed from Landeros in great abundance, but right now it looks as though for the most, the Americans have broken the back of this Canadian power play.
A nice play there by Cash as well, about 30 seconds left in the power play, and instead of covering the puck, which would have led to another offensive zone face-off for Canada, he plays it. The Americans are able to get it down ice, and that effectively kills the penalty as Cozzolino with an opportunity here to McGregor in the slot, and he fires it just wide.
A real clever play from Cozzolino just to play that puck under his sled deceptively across to Westlake, and now Westlake picks it up again smartly down here. This is dangerous from Canada, and as good a shot as Cash has had to face in this tournament, as now Brodie Roybal is back out onto the ice, and it's 5 against 5, and this has been smart so far. Canada hasn't been overly flashy, but they've been relatively consistent in their build-up. The Americans, though, pursuing hard as Josh Paul is a long ways from home. He leads the forecheck for the United States, and Dixon advancing it up to Hickey. And it has been a rather considered approach from Canada. You'd say more of the two sides. You get a feeling that the Americans want to play a run-and-gun style.
Well, there's no question here that as we try to hit the 8-minute mark of the period, the Canadians attacking here, and here's a good look for Liam Hickey. He has to circle back with it, but we have not seen a game in this tournament with this much pace, and that was to be expected. These two teams are just so dominant.
And it's been carefully maneuvered here by Canada. It's been gobbled up, though, by the Americans, but again, it's like a slippery bar of soap. Neither team able just to get a hold of it. And now it's Bridges who will put the forecheck in for the Canadians. Delaney there too, but great stopping on a dime there by Declan Farmer. Such great body control. That sled is a full extension of his body. At no point do you ever get a sense that it's their equipment. It's just attached right to them as they maneuver around the ice. And Rico Roman will fire it in, and Dixon goes back to retrieve it for the Canadians.
Gone a long time here without a whistle. These two teams are just going up and down the ice. It's been impressive to watch here as there's just over 7 minutes to go in the period. The United States trying to get something going with their top line.
And Hickey had lost his stick momentarily, and you see a good play by the Canadian players to make sure that their teammate had both sticks, because really what it does is it creates almost a power play opportunity, because you're almost on an island there with just the one stick. Can't get yourself around, although we had seen that from Jun Si-won just with one stick earlier in the tournament for Republic of Korea, just so capable. But this is Delaney now on a little bit of a partial break for Canada. He is taken off the play by Josh Pauls and ends up just falling astray and unable to control that puck. And now Brodie Roybal trying to break things out. Arsenault closes down the time and space and gets that puck on his stick, but now he's just had his pocket picked ever so slightly by Declan Farmer. He needs to be careful as he's got two Americans right on him, and they immediately apply the pressure to the Canadian defenseman. Landeros, the layoff to Roybal. Roybal and Landeros as a 1-2 punch with Farmer. They have speed to burn, and they can create confusion in the defensive zone. That goes off, I think, the outside of the post and kicks up into the glass behind Dominic Larocque. So there again, that tight angle delivery, it can be ever so effective. As it's Larocque stretching out, he may haven't gone too far, but he does get control of it, and that is quite an outstretched reach there from Larocque, but he gets it in his control. We are still scoreless in the Gangneung Hockey Center. We are in the first period of play, Canada and the United States of America. Five-on-five action, a face-off to the left of Dominic Larocque in the Canadian goal. And these two titans of the sport of para ice hockey are right tied up in a battle here in this first period. And as advertised, there really is no quarter being given by either of these nations. Power play so far for Canada, unable to really get a lot of it, but it's been the Americans who've had a couple huge hits, and another good one there from Caron in the neutral zone as USA have timed their hits really to perfection and have made them count.
Tyler Caron there stepping up, a nice hit as we mentioned, and a great job by the Canadians. As we're nearly 10 minutes into this first period, the Americans don't have a shot on goal yet. The shot's right now 3-0 in favor of Canada, helped by the fact that they spent 2 minutes on the power play, but such a potent attack. And there, we're gonna have a penalty here. It's Roybal again who will be going to the box as he wrapped his arms around the Canadian defender there. And it'll be another power play for Canada as they get into the offensive zone. Goalie off the ice for the extra attacker.
And the Canadians still on it here, and you just see a couple of these instances where Brodie Roybal with so much speed, sometimes almost a little too quick, where he's getting himself caught up with his own momentum and he reaches the hand in there. You see Landeros on a delayed penalty stepping up and looking as there's another look back at the Brodie Roybal, just enough to unhook the wagon of the Canadian player trying to come out. But you see them really taking attempts here, the Americans, and you wonder if it's a little bit too chancy at times, particularly on a delayed call. But Landeros catches another big hit in the neutral zone.
Well, that's a penalty that Guy Gosselin and his staff will hate to see. It's 200 feet from your own net, and it's Roybal just reaching around, pulling down the Canadian player, and taking a penalty at that part of the ice. Never a good idea. Steve Cash makes a routine glove save here, but the Canadians will go back to the power play. So again, the Americans now credited with one shot on net. There's a bit of a dump in the Canadians here. Set play off the draw. It gets to Hickey. He's got a look, but Cash will make that stop. Yeah, pretty much 9.5 times out of 10.
And Hickey with quite a bit of pepper on that one, but as you say, Cash gets a good look at it, and it's a comfortable save, and as much a game, part of the gamesmanship that goes on is just showing just how easy it was in which to make that save. But the power play for Canada, as you mentioned, they got themselves 3 shots so far in this hockey game. There's a 4th one. and they'll look just to utilize this time just to put further pressure on this American defense. Americans look very energized, very capable, and here they look for a second to have disrupted it and want to go potentially on a break, but it's Rico Roman just sliding it down into the Canadian end zone and making Canada have to work. They've advanced this well here. Overly committed. Josh Paul's up in the middle of the ice, and what it allows is Brad Bowden in behind, but unfortunately Canada unable to be accurate enough with their pass, and it goes for icing whilst they're on the power play.
Just a little bit ahead there, and Bowden was trying to chase it down. He couldn't get there in time. An icing call against the Canadians, so that unit will stay out here. The Americans will get a line change. Right now the official having a word with Ken Babby, the Canadian head coach. A minute 15 here to go in the Canadian power play.
And a discussion going on at both benches with the Norwegian official, just making sure that he is giving the same information across both benches and that everybody's on the same page as the puck is now dropped. And just as quick as that, as the instructions have been imparted, it is Canada with control in live play, and now Bowden, who is just looking to make a little bit of a move, trying to get out past a couple of these pillars. The Americans who just created some pretty good confusion here to slow things up for a moment, but Bridges, we've seen that offloading style passing attempt from Canada so far, trying to draw a defender in and then lay it off to an open player in space.
Well, the puck was turned over anyways, but I think he put himself offside there, so not the best zone entry on that chance. By the Canadians, they'll rush up the ice with a chance to do it again as Dixon turns it over in the neutral zone. And sometimes you get a little bit too cute in the neutral zone. We saw that twice in a row now from Canada. Or maybe the better play is just to hammer it in there and go down and chase it. As you have the extra body on the ice, you should be able to win those battles.
Americans doing well to cover the space of 5 players with just the 4 skaters out there. Their speed is such an asset for them, such an advantage. Need to be careful there, Canada, not to have too many players on the ice. They were able to avoid it, and Declan Farmer just bats that one away again, and Canada really have squandered this power play opportunity, or maybe full credit to be given to the Americans for breaking it down. As now Landeros again getting in the way of Canada's speed as they want to come through the neutral zone, and Bowden elects not to throw it in. Again, it's Canada just trying to hold it on and play a puck possession game. And as you say, maybe they would be better served with advancing it in the zone and playing this battle not inside their own offensive blue line, but in behind the goal line.
Tyler McGregor doing everything he can in a battle with Brody Roybal to hold control of the puck. The Americans come out with it, but they turn it over in the neutral zone, so some sloppy play here. And now Westlake over the middle, and guess who? It's Nico Landeros throwing about his 5th body check of this opening period as he catches Westlake in the middle of the ice.
And it really is a sensational skill from Landeros to be able to time his hits as a defenseman coming forward against the opposition coming forward. And it's not as if he's taking on opposition that doesn't have the mobility and also the stick handling ability to get around Landeros, but he's been that confident. He's put a bullseye in every single one of the Canadian players. Forget a maple leaf, it's a bullseye, as he's coming right at them, trying to take them right off the play as Westlake returns the favor on the far side. A shot in for a scramble, they score! Out of nowhere, it's McGregor who is perfectly positioned in front, and Cash unable to tidy up what was a loose play. And there is Tyler McGregor to score for Canada at the end of their power play.
What a great job by McGregor. It starts with Westlake here. He forces the American player to get rid of the puck. Dixon just throws it on net, never a bad play, and he throws it to the bottom part of the net, looking for that rebound opportunity. It's not a high shot that has the chance, if it misses, of rimming around the boards and coming back out again. It's a smart play just to throw it low on goal, the rebound off Cash, and McGregor, right place, right time, 1-0 Canada. A huge opening goal here with 1:32 to go in the first.
And Canada, who have had a couple of power plays in this opening period, have been unable to really make a whole lot of hay with them. But you wonder sometimes that full expenditure, the energy, the emotion, the passion coming from the United States, defending with such vehemence. It's been the Canadians who've been a little more considered about their approach, and they got the benefit of a broken play there, but also getting the puck to the net. And McGregor, as you say, right place, right time. And here, closing in on the remaining minute in this first period, Canada find themselves with an even strength goal from Tyler McGregor. But this is Josh Pauls. He's got Westlake on him. Dixon doesn't get all of it to clean it on his first attempt. And again, Declan Farmer, who is oh so capable of breaking this game with his own speed, lays it forward, and it's Adam Page. We haven't seen with those penalties that flow from the Americans to get all three of their lines involved in a hockey game.
Americans dump it in there. A bit surprising there wasn't an icing call, but the Canadians able to get the puck quite easily out of their own zone as Westlake pushes it up the ice, and another big hit across the middle of the ice. Stepping up there was Rico Roman. The Americans, you can see when the Canadians get towards that blue line, automatically there's an American player there to come across the ice with a body check. We'll take another look at the goal here. Thrown on goal, it just goes off the stick of Farmer there. He tried to block it and he couldn't. And wide open to the net is Tyler McGregor, who beats Brody Roybal. Roybal's taken a couple penalties in this first period, and then he's unable to get on his check there. And Canada's got that 1-0 lead here with 26 seconds to go in the first.
And a little bit of puck luck, as you might say, but luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And of course, Tyler McGregor in pole position when the puck did arrive, and a little bit of a late deflection. Here are Canada again. Oh, and unfortunate for Billy Bridges not to have breached Cash for a second Canadian goal late in his first period.
A nice save there by Cash as the Canadians continue to pour it on here. The time ticks down, and that'll do it for the first period as we see another hit. It's Roman on Bowden. A physical first period and a great chance there at the end by the Canadians to go up 2. But what a job done by Canada in that first period. A couple power play opportunities, and they do end up scoring at even strength as they applied a ton of pressure there. They take a 1-0 lead into the second period.
And welcome back to Gangneung. In our first intermission report, we saw ourselves a thriller in the opening 15 minutes of action. And as advertised, it was just that. It was a late Canadian goal. Brent Pope alongside Mike Kelly, and the physicality from the Americans in that first period probably surprised a little bit us both. But wow, both teams certainly came out with high-octane para ice hockey, and it really was the Canadians that had those two power plays. You might have expected they got a return from that, but it was a late one on a broken play.
Yeah, it was, and we'll get to that in just a moment, but you talk about the physical play of these two teams coming right out of the gate. In the opening minute, we saw a couple of thunderous hits. For the Americans, it was Nico Landeros. Steve Arsenault with a big hit there by the Canadians. And there was so many big hits in this. Open ice hits as well. Landeros 15 for the U.S. Guys coming across the middle, making big hits, not just on the boards. As you see, a lot of collisions here. This is North American hockey at its best. Certainly a more physical brand of hockey than we see typically in the European style game. So physical in that first period, and we'll wait to see what kind of toll that takes on these players as the game goes on. But you're right, it was the Americans that were initiating a lot of that contact, and it was great to see so much pace played in this game and so many big hits in the opening frame.
So a late goal, it was taken by Tyler McGregor, even strength, after the Canadians had a couple power plays. Brodie Roybal takes 2 of those penalties for the Americans, and that doesn't help their cause, as he is one of their most likely penalty killers and also one of their most likely players to be on the power play to create that speed to go at this Canadian defense.
Yeah, that was a tough period by Roybal, who's been such an effective player for these Americans, but he does take a couple of penalties. And then as we take a look at the only goal in that period, scored by Tyler McGregor, you'll see a great play here by Greg Westlake on the board. Right there, the hit creates an opportunity. Dixon throws it at the net, and it's Roybal late on the back check, unable to check McGregor. As you'll see, the American coming in just a shade too late. McGregor beats him to the post, to the far post. Off Declan Farmer there in front. Cash gets the blocker on it, the stick on it, but it's McGregor unchecked as Roybal can't get there, and it's 1-0 Canada. 5 shots on goal in the first period for the Canadians, a couple of good opportunities, and as a result, they're the ones that take the lead into the second period.
Uncharacteristic that the Americans don't get more shots in that opening 15 minutes, but we talk about the penalties being taken by them, and of course not having the services of a Brodie Roybal for 4 of those 15 minutes who sat in the penalty box. They're going to want to adjust that as they're in the first intermission now, and I'm sure having a chat about that in their intermission break. There's more action, of course, to come. We'll join you, but we'll take a pause for a second here in our first intermission report and be right back with you. Stats will be this one. And welcome back to our coverage here in the first intermission. It is Canada 1-0 up over the United States after the first 15 minutes of play. And Mike, we talk about the keys to the game ahead of this one, about how the Americans need to stay disciplined. They weren't able to quite do that in the first 15 minutes. You wonder if that's in fact why the scoreline might be to Canada's advantage.
One big reason, yes, the Canadians did score an even strength. They didn't capitalize on either one of the power play opportunities, but that's 4 minutes right there out of 15 that the Americans aren't able a big key in that first period was the fact that the Americans couldn't generate a ton of offense. You talk about the 2 penalties that they took. That's 4 minutes right there where the Americans aren't able to attack. They managed only 1 shot on goal, and that was it. It came from well outside. There wasn't much going on, so it was a great job by the Canadians as they were able to limit those American opportunities. And this American team, we talk about that loaded up top line centered by Declan Farmer. They're so capable offensively. The fact that the Canadians were able to limit them to 1 shot just shows you what a great job they did in the opening period. And one of the keys to success we talked about for Canada, capitalizing on your chances. They had 5 shots, their best opportunity, they end up scoring on, and that's why they're up 1-0.
So have a look at these match stats here, and it's just, of course, the 1 goal in it, the face-offs being 1. And we're just saying the 1 shot here, I think we're quite accurately as we'll get those clarified for us, but the Canadians who have the advantage in that column and not allowing the Americans their normal duty in on goal, getting that traffic. Normally the Americans will have the benefit of the power play, but it was really interesting to see just how much the Americans played that physical brand of para ice hockey, and whether or not it was entirely to their advantage because the Americans or the Canadians were able to soak it up pretty well and keep themselves focused at the task at hand.
Oh, there's no question the Canadians can match anybody in a physical game. So can the Americans. They're 2 very tough teams, and we saw in the graphic the 1 shot for the Americans. The Canadians do actually have 5 shots on goal, so that's where they stand after 15 minutes. But it will be interesting to see if the Americans try to change that game plan a little bit coming out into the second. They were very physical in that first period. As a result, they weren't able to generate quite as much offense. They were chasing the puck a little bit. We'll see if they try to maybe play more of a speed game in the second period and open things up a little bit, but I don't expect the physicality to be gone from this game in any way. We saw defenses on both sides stepping up into the middle of the ice at the respective blue lines, and it's been so much fun to watch, bodies flying around everywhere. And the perfect example was Greg Westlake, his puck separation on what ended up being Canada's goal in that period. So not only is the physical nature good defensively to limit the opposition, it can create offensively for you, as we saw from Canada.
So both teams giving as good as they get, and at the moment it's Canada who with just a slight advantage with the 1 goal. So we will pause for a moment as the teams get themselves in final preparations to return to action to start this second period. And the teams just awaiting their return to the ice. The officials are ready. And of course, we are as well. You're inside the Gangneung Hockey Center, and these, the World Para Ice Hockey Championships, and they're the accurate reflection of the game stats so far.
5 shots to 1 for Canada. They've got the goal in this game. You see the 4 penalty minutes on the 2 minors taken by Brodie Roybal, and when you look at the ice time after one period of play, both teams pretty much going with two lines here. As the Americans, only 10 seconds of ice for Luke McDermott, 5 seconds each for Noah Grove and Jack Wallace, so they barely touched the ice, that third line. And the Canadians' third line, all playing less than a minute and a half. Minute munchers in the first period. Declan Farmer, 10 minutes and 31 seconds out of a possible 15 minutes for the United States. Equal time for Brad Bowden on the back end for Canada. And a game-high 11 minutes and 18 seconds out of 15 minutes for Adam Dixon. Just phenomenal stuff by both teams. Dixon, of course, assisting on the Westlake goal. He now has a tournament-high 15 points. So both coaches just riding their top players in this game, and I expect that's how it's going to be going forward as well. Obviously, the Americans played 4 of those 15 minutes shorthanded, so now at even strength, they'll look to really load up on those top guys and start trying to generate some offense.
So just to confirm there, it was Dixon and Westlake involved, yes, it was the McGregor goal, the even strength one, 13-29. That's what stands on the scoreboard right now as the difference between these two teams, and some great minutes, as you say, Mike, from both of the anchors on this blue line, Brad Bowden and Adam Dixon, and of course Landeros and Josh Paul is outstanding as well for the Americans.
And Nico Landeros, without question, was the most physical player in that period. He had several big hits. We heard a quote from him before the tournament started. He said, "I don't like to be second or last, I just want to be first." And that's what he's been in his international career. 5 international events for the US, 4 gold medals, 1 silver. We'll see if he plays that physical brand here as well as he starts the second period on the blue line. Both teams again going with those top lines of Westlake and Farmer.
And it's Farmer who gets the advantage and puts this puck forward. Arsenault goes back to get it, and he offloads it to McGregor. McGregor, oh, he gets upended McGregor, and he pays a price. It's Kevin McKee. There's a penalty already, and this is the Americans really just kind of their own Achilles heel here, as the ice is a little bit sticky to start this second period, and it's seen it a little bit. It's raining outside here in the Republic of Korea in Gangneung, and of course that has an impact equally on the humidity on the ice.
Yeah, clearing a pass actually up the middle by the Canadians as they were getting the goalie off for the extra attacker, and the puck just stopped. So a little bit of a tough break there as Kevin McKee goes to the penalty box. Third power play opportunity of the game for Canada, and it comes early here in the second.
Again, so very aggressive, very emotional game being played by the Americans, and you wonder if it's just a little bit maybe beyond their comfort zone. They're very capable of delivering it, but are they taking themselves a little too far out of the way in which to make sure to impact that upon today's hockey game? It's Dixon coming forward. It's measured from McGregor. McGregor tries to get around, but he's upended. Landeros does well, and Dixon's just going to keep it in. Dixon, as it's just outside of the blue line, and they measure that as offside. So we'll have a look. There's the penalty there. He just comes in. And whether it's teeing or interference, I think either one could have been called on Kevin McKee.
It was a teeing penalty, and that's why he sits for 2 minutes, as you're not allowed again to use the front end of the sled as an initial point of contact on a body check. So that's the call on McKee. 1:31 here to go in the power play for Canada. Roybal with a nice play a little bit earlier at the blue line to cause a turnover. The Canadians go back now, and they'll have to regroup here with Declan Farmer coming in hot.
And Farmer, the fast player on the ice, certainly one of the fastest, and you could argue that he is. The way he gets around, he logged those 11+ minutes in that first period of play, and he's given Lions duty on the penalty kill and the power play, even strength, and he was the go-to man for Guy Gosselin and the American team. But right now, they are killing this penalty. And it's Farmer again on the puck. Look at him go. Look at him make things happen as Landeros will pick up on the near side and just pick up on that little bit of an offload from Farmer. And you get a sense that Farmer really, if he wanted to, could attack you even one player against a number of them out there. But Canada, again, as it's Dixon trying to feed it forward to Billy Bridges, they can't connect on it. And Landeros is going to win a race here to the puck. And Landeros and Farmer, the two of them, are a menace for this Canadian power play.
It's a lot of speed to try to handle as the Americans try to get something going short-handed. Farmer all over the ice, and he's at the puck again. He's won so many loose puck battles. His average shift length in the first period was 2 minutes and 37 seconds. He's got the iron lungs going, and he's showing no signs of slowing down.
Well, he made a play, did Adam Dixon, trying to get a hit on Declan Farmer, and he went hard into the boards. He was a little bit slow getting started again, but seems to be all right. But now the penalty is over. McKee returns to the ice. Declan Farmer's dancing around out there like a ballerina, really just keeping out of the way of the watchful Canadian defenders, and he's able to be deft enough just to navigate his way away from trouble. That needed to be careful, because there it was, Declan Farmer again hunting for a loose puck, but Canada are measured. McGregor needs to be careful there as Tyler Caron was coming towards him, and they'll take that. That could have easily been, if it bounces off the boards, potentially a play that led to too many players on the ice, but went right into the Canadian bench.
Well, McGregor looking for Delaney across the ice, and hard to score a goal when you're on the bench as it goes right into the bench area. See some of the physical play again here, some of the battles. The Canadians and the Americans not shy to throw the weight around. We've seen a ton of it so far in this game. It's been a lot of fun to watch.
Well, the face-off just outside of the American blue line, and McGregor gets onto it. He's the goal scorer. He lays it off to Westlake. Westlake will shoot, and it goes wide to the right side of Cash. McGregor tries to niftily take that from behind his body, right hand to left hand, but immediately the Americans, that they've done so far today, front right up against the Canadians, don't allow them any easy access with speed coming into the offensive zone. This is Henry. He's had a nice little tournament, a goal and 6 assists for Canada. They've gone about that quietly, but Canada and the Americans constitute 10 of the top 10 positions in scoring in this tournament, so you wouldn't be surprised 13 of the top 15 are in the lineup today for these two respective sides in the overall scoring output of this tournament, as Westlake will just usher that puck down deep. It's not going to go for icing, as he was across the offensive side of the center ice red line.
Little captain on captain violence there as Andy Yohe throwing a big hit on Westlake, but Westlake knew it was coming. He still made a play with the puck, and he took the hit. That's the kind of sacrifice required to win a tightly contested game like this.
And they come to try to hit him. This time Westlake just lays it off. This has worked out well for Canada. Canada will get a shot off. It's blocked though by Andy Yohe. Out front here again, Canada. And they've been handcuffed, and this one will get fired and released down the ice. That's Adam Page who will shoot it, and it will go for an icing against. And there Canada in close quarters have been pretty calm with creating the opportunities that they have had in this hockey game.
Well, as we get close to the opening 20 minutes here, just over 24 minutes into this game, the Canadians have certainly been the ones dictating. They get another power play opportunity early in the second period, but even at even strength, they're getting the better looks at the net. A couple nice shot blocks by the Americans. Offensive zone draw here, as it'll be Bridges taking it for Canada. The Americans hope to win a draw here and try to get the puck out and create some offense of their own.
Hickey just moves the puck back for Bowden, just a little bit of a bunt pass, and now it is Hickey again who will come up with it. It was the offload. Billy Bridges, haven't seen a lot of Bridges, but he's very capable. He almost went short side there. There's a backside play. It looks like trouble. What a save by Cash to deny Liam Hickey, which looked like a golden opportunity with an open side of goal, but Cash recovers.
The money man for the United States coming up with a couple of big saves, keeping his team in it. It's 1-0 Canada. 10:27 to go in period number 2.
And we'll have a look at this penalty here. Billy Bridges gets a charging call just before the break there, and we knew it wouldn't happen or stay like this forever. There is going to be an American power play.
Bridges came in a little hot there. He gets the 2-minute minor. And here come the big boys for the United States of America. Farmer, McKee, Roybal up front. Farmer kicked out of the circle here. Westlake will take the draw against McKee. What an opportunity here for the Americans to get themselves back involved in this game. As we talked about at the intermission, they haven't been able to generate a ton of offense so far in this hockey game. Just a one shot on goal.
This is Roybal with possession. He'll shoot. Golden opportunity right into Larocque. I think they've smothered it, and then they've cleared it. Dixon with a fantastic releasing clearance all the way down the length of the ice, but you get a very clear sense that this power play is pivotal in the hockey game. If the Canadians are able to kill it, it bodes well, of course, for their increased confidence, and equally for the Americans, it means they're back with their first power play of the game. They've been waiting for this opportunity as Declan Farmer just rests up inside the blue line. Very confidently moves it across that blue line, and almost an unsighted pass he makes down there, but it's down to Roybal. Roybal you cannot allow to be open as there isn't anybody in front, and Dominic Larocque able just to reach out and make this control for the faceoff.
Here's the first opportunity on the power play. It's Roybal with a lot of time and space, but Larocque gets his body in front of it. Square to the shooter and a nice save. The Americans, the second-ranked power play in this tournament, clicking at over 22%. Certainly lethal, but a good job there as well right before the whistle of the Canadians to get sticks in the lane and block that shot.
Roybal offloads to Pauls. It goes back to McKee. Canada do well, though, to front up against it. And it is going to be McGregor who tries to clear it. He can't. Bowden plays it right off the body of Declan Farmer. And Dixon's taken off the play as well, but now Declan Farmer has lost his stick, and now Dixon needs to be careful, and Dixon so well clears it again. He's got to be the best in the tournament of getting elevation from a sitting position like that, stationary from behind his own goal line.
He's been phenomenal all tournament long for Canada, and you see him step up here on Farmer. He misses him, and this is what we talk about when you step up. You better hit your man or it can create an odd man rush the other way.
And here is Declan Farmer in against Larocque. It goes off the near side of goal. Out front, they score. It's Landeros who banks it off Larocque, and just like that, they make something from nothing. And the Americans have opened up their scoring in this game, and they got one power play. They've got one goal as a return.
Well, it all starts with Dixon stepping up, and he missed his man. It creates odd numbers the other way, and banking it in is the physical Nico Landeros on the power play. That opportunity all begins in the neutral zone as Adam Dixon went for the big hit on Declan Farmer, who sidestepped him. Up come the Americans into the offensive zone. They work the puck around behind the net, and it's Landeros just throwing it at the goal. It bounces in off Larocque, and it's a power play goal for the United States. We're all square at one.
And a well-taken one, as there looked to be just a little bit of room there and daylight, and the Americans generate their own opportunity. Yes, maybe a little bit of an ill-advised play by the Canadians at their own blue line. It just shows you how you have to be smart when you take those chances, or certainly you have to execute if you do decide to take them. But it is the Americans with control again, as Pauls inside the line will hold up and look for some room to create a little bit more zone time. This is Shaw's from a distance, as Larocque will just settle it down as he makes sure that Liam Hickey can get to it first. And Hickey just moving it up for Delaney. Haven't seen a lot of Billy Bridges, but now he'll get into a race here against Shaw's. And he tries just to catch him, maybe fortunate not to have caught him and potentially taken a penalty there. But Larocque just makes that play out and right in on top of it. That's Rico Roman making life difficult for the Canadian defense. And now Adam Page. And this is a good shift from the Americans. They're looking to make a backside play to Josh Pauls. And Canada right now looking a little bit confused defensively.
Yeah, they're running around a little bit in their own end. They'll have an opportunity here to get it out as Bridges just hammers it around the boards. But there to cut it off is Pauls. And now Hickey with a golden opportunity to clear it out. The Canadians, another big hit there is coming through the middle of the ice. It was Jack Wallace, third line, getting some opportunity here for the United States.
And a little bit of a dangerous play there made by the Canadians just to feed that to the backside for Bridges to skate it out. And he had his head down, tried to retrieve it. And of course, then Wallace comes in to try to catch him. And Canada right now, a little bit out of sorts, just trying to get themselves adjusted to the pressure coming from the Americans. There's a huge hit. Wallace with back-to-back hits has certainly let his presence be known in this shift, as now Canada try to take a little bit of a break here, and it's going to be Josh Pauls who just slices that one up into the bench area and just slows things down.
That's a great shift there by the third line. They don't have a lot of playing time so far in this game, so what do you do when you get that playing time? You make the most of it, and here comes Jack Wallace. Whammy! Big hit behind the net there, separates his man from the puck. And that third line did a great job of hemming the Canadians in their own end with the long change in the second period. They weren't able to get off the ice for quite some time. They finally do get a whistle, but great energy shift there by the third line for the U.S. as they bring the big boys back on the ice.
And Henry will take this one from the blue line position. You have McGregor actually back on a blue line area, and he was looking on the wide side to advance if they win that face-off to try and stretch this American defense out. But this is Dixon down low. This is trouble as McGregor gets a shot in. It goes high up over Cash, and Henry will just come and get the loose puck in this area, but he can't quite play it cleanly. And that's been kept well by Dixon because Roybal was in behind him. If he doesn't make that play, Roybal is home free. And here comes Farmer. Farmer just carving his way through this Canadian defense. Farmer's in front, he scores. And just as quick as that is Declan Farmer, and he continues his tally from the front for the USA. He is a sniper, and he's done it again.
The all-time leading scorer, and you see Cozzolino there stepping up. It creates odd numbers. Dixon gets turned around. Henry can't get there, and then it's too easy for Farmer, who's in all alone on goal with some great stick handling. 8th goal of the tournament for Declan Farmer. He leads all players in this tournament. He's the all-time leading scorer for the United States in World Championship play. And it is 101st international point for Declan Farmer, also the leader of this American team in that category. He's the guy offensively, and he sparks him. He's going to the net here as McKee puts it on goal. The Americans absolutely flying here in the second period.
And that power play has certainly rejuvenated their hopes and, of course, their prospects in this one for USA, as they have taken what was a loose puck opportunity, and Declan Farmer on his own can just create his own individual opportunity, and the advantage is taken quite clearly as you just see how well he executes against the Canadian netminder, and he made that look very easy. And now Canada have their hands most certainly full with getting themselves back to level pegging against this American side. But it's Westlake as he tries to collect it from McGregor, and they go offside in the play. And what a turn of fortune in the second period. The Americans now find themselves 2-1 up. And there was a penalty right before we went to break, and we'll probably have a look at it here as Brodie Roybal gets involved with a roughing call here as McGregor's coming forward, and it's there where he reaches up and grabs at McGregor, and that was the penalty. It was an offside on the play, but the referee deemed it worthy of a call against Roybal. It's his third penalty of the match.
Third minor penalty, exactly, and he kind of punches at McGregor there. He gets called for roughing. So more undisciplined play from the Americans and from Roybal, and what an opportunity now for Canada to get themselves back in the game here.
And they're patient in their build-up as Bowden tries to get the shot in. It goes off of Westlake in front. This is Bridges. Bridges in a good spot. He gets a snapping release off there, but again, it's high as we often see and wide, and it forces Canada to come all the way back now to have to collect this puck, and there's Declan Farmer applying the pressure. He never seems to tire, does Declan Farmer. Able to take all of those minutes and then the speed to burn as he makes the most of that power play, or that breakaway opportunity rather, as this is the power play for Canada with Bowden on this near side, and Dixon. Just wait to see. There's Declan Farmer getting a stick on it. And Canada just look a little bit undecided as to how they want to break this American defense down. Rather stationary in the way they approach that formation to start.
That was a nice play by Farmer to get his stick in the lane, block things up, and then eventually the Americans get the puck down ice. But you see the Americans sending 2 players in to forecheck and do attack while they're shorthanded. Now it's Farmer that'll come in. He'll circle back as well. A very aggressive penalty kill by the Americans. They use their speed to their advantage.
And this is Dixon coming forward. Dixon with a shot, but it's to the near side and around. And it's Billy Bridges now who will be on it. He lays it off for McGregor. McGregor's done well to ride the tightrope there. He gets a shot in. Is there a ricochet for Westlake? Is it going to find a way to carry him in? Is Cash able to control it? And it looked like enough of a changeup that could have been deceptive enough to find its way through Steve Cash.
Yes, Cash has a chuckle there, but a great move here by McGregor to switch hands to keep the play on side. He ends up getting a shot on goal, and it comes to Westlake. That caroms off the blocker and then into the glove area of Steve Cash, who's able to keep it out of the net. Westlake didn't get everything he wanted on that puck. It was rolling on him a little bit, but a great opportunity there by the Canadians. They still have 18 seconds to play with here as Hickey will take the draw.
Precious seconds remaining, and they lose this draw. Landeros, you expect, will be able to play at the length of the ice. He certainly clears his own zone as Dixon gets a piece of it. And now Canada will have to work from the back as Arsenault will take the offload from Dixon. And across this line is Cozzolino's out here with his units, and they've been broken up a little bit. They keep a watchful eye on Brodie Roybal as he comes out of the penalty box. And that was Dixon who decided not to push in as he knew that maybe a potential breakaway pass could have been on for Roybal. But from here, what can Canada do to muster a little bit more offense than they've been able to generate? They had that power play and not a whole lot coming from that. And then all of a sudden, Brodie Roybal, who's had a little bit of a break in this hockey game, has a little bit more energy to burn, is out there to push on this Canadian defense. And Arsenault might just find himself in a battle here with Roybal that he's certainly being disrupted with. Again, this is Roybal, who's certainly playing with a lot of emotion in this game. And he'd seen him in the box 3 times already. As this is a little bit of a logjam down here on the near side as Canada just finally just clear their zone and lob it out. Roybal, he'll just bat it back in and he'll go for a line change. And Dixon, just the offload, not wanting to give that puck away cheaply. They've done well here, but they've lost their footing for a moment, their balance. Need to be careful there as Declan Farmer is always swimming around looking for an opportunity. Just circles and waits for a miscue from his opposing team. Is this now McGregor out there with Westlake? This is Bridges rather. And Bridges from behind almost rudely taken into the boards there by Wallace. We've seen Wallace with a couple big hits in this game, and Canada right now are looking a little bit the slower of the 2 teams, looking a little lethargic, trying to come out of their own zone, and more energy coming from the United States right now.
Big hit there by Bridges on Karen, and those 2 jostle a little bit afterwards. The physicality, it's everywhere on the ice. And again, another great energy shift by that third line for the Americans. They didn't play, they barely played at all in the first period, about 5 seconds each. But they've had a couple shifts in the second, and they're throwing their weight around as well. Now the top guys out here for the U.S., McKee, Farmer, and Roybal.
And the battle continues in these trenches. And there's Billy Bridges, comes and takes Declan Farmer right off the puck. And that's an important play for the Canadians as Farmer, if you give him room and space, he'll make you pay. And we've seen that already with the second American goal. But Bridges gets the favor returned on him. As Karen out there making sure to keep amends and level that score of the hitting tally. There certainly has been a proportional amount of hits for each side in this one. But you might just give the edge to the Americans. They have initiated this play all day as again now Roybal comes in to make contact with McGregor. Is there a chance here for Dixon? He is patient in his delivery. He has his shot blocked. Kevin McKee has been able to take it from him. Here comes Roybal. Roybal might get away from here, but Sholomicki takes him right off the play. And what a play it is from Sholomicki. Hasn't had a lot of ice time today, but boy, does he make a play when it needed to happen for Canada.
The third line now for Canada getting involved, and Sholomicki with great wheels to get back there Dixon made a play at the blue line. And a big hit there behind the net as well by Adam Dixon. These two teams just going head to head, battling all over the ice. 4 seconds to go in the second period. We'll take another look at the hit. Dixon was the last man back and he got caught, but Sholomicki came back, and here's Dixon behind the net. Boom! A huge hit there on Josh Pauls. We've seen more hits in this game, I think, than we've seen in the entire tournament, Brent.
Well, certainly these hits where you're actually taking a man right off of his sled and onto the ice, where you are separating the man from the puck, there has been the most dramatic hits in this hockey game for certain, as both of these teams have certainly just left caution in the dressing room. And we just got that period just snuck away from us with all the action and mayhem that went on. It is going to remain as a 2-1 scoreline to United States. There are no penalties, and we had so many penalties throughout the duration of that last 15 minutes. It's hard to kind of keep track, but the action continues with the third period awaiting us. It's 2-1 after 2. USA over Canada. Welcome back to Gangneung 2017, the World Para Ice Hockey Championships, and you're inside the Hockey Center here, and we're inside our second intermission report. Brent Pope alongside Mike Kelly, and as expected, well, what a hockey game we're enjoying here. Canada had the 1-0 lead after the first period, but a couple of goals from the Americans in that second period have got them now out in front. And we'll have a look now at the highlights from that second 15 here now, as the Americans find a way to make something happen when they needed it most.
A much better period by the Americans as we take a look at the highlights. Held to just one shot in the first period. And here we see a great opportunity by the Canadians at the front of the net. And there's a penalty against Bridges as he comes in. He gets called for charging. The Americans go to the power play after that, and the Americans end up scoring on the power play as well. Right here, it's Nico Landeros coming around the side of the net and just chipping it on goal. He banks it in short side off Larocque into the back of the net. That tied the game for the Americans. We knew they would come out with a much better effort in the second period after again being held to just the one shot. They come out and they score twice, and this is Declan Farmer just doing Declan Farmer things.
It's just an outrageous finish, really. It looked for a moment as though the Canadians had been able to hem him in and been able to squeeze him off, squeeze box him as a pair of Canadian blue liners, but he just breaks away And even though it looked as though he was stopped for a moment, he was able to re-accelerate himself. And then the move he makes on Dominic Larocque there at the end, it just shows you why he's such a world-class player, why he's leading this tournament in goals, why he's leading American history in goals, and why he has the World Championship record now with 8 goals, I believe, is his now the USA record.
For Americans, absolutely. Oh yeah, he's 19 years old. He's probably going to play a few more years and add to those totals. We mentioned he got his 100th and 101st international points in this game. He is such an offensive catalyst for this American team. They did a much better job in the second period. They outshot the Canadians 4-2 in the period. They outscored them 2-0. The power play kick-started it for them, but a much better game of puck possession, like Guy Gosselin had talked about before the game, as a huge key to success for this American squad. That's why they sit with a 2-1 lead here now. And this is setting up to be a tremendous third period. Canada dictated in the first, America dictated in the second. Can't wait to see what happens in the last 15.
Well, you see that the Americans were able to employ their speed game in that second period. Canada unable to slow it down like they would like to. It's all in the third period, and you get a sense that the Americans are able to find a way to score, maybe from nothing, a little bit more easily than the Canadians were able to. Canada are going to have to put together a good team performance in this final 15 minutes.
No question about it, and they had a good look on a power play of their own. Greg Westlake had a great opportunity. He didn't get everything he wanted on that shot. Steve Cash made a nice save and was able to cover the puck, but the Canadians are going to have to find a way to generate more opportunities. They had 5 shots in the first, just a 2 in the second, so things really flip-flopped here, as it was mainly all Canada in the first, much better by the Americans in the second period, and it's anybody's guess what happens in the final 15.
We'll join you for more coverage here in a second intermission in just a moment's time. And welcome back to our coverage here inside the Gangneung Hockey Center. Brent Pope alongside Mike Kelly. And as we were talking about, we knew this was going to be a real tug of war between these two top nations. Canada getting the lion's share of the attention and, of course, the return in the first period. Then the Americans taking control in the second period. The final 15 minutes, maybe more in store in this hockey game.
Expect more hits. I don't think you need a professional analyst to tell you that if you watch the first 2 periods. There's been so much physicality in this game, and it's been a real treat to watch as we see every opportunity either team has to take a hit, they're doing it. Watch this hit here by Jack Wallace, number 8 on the American side. He only played 5 seconds in the first period. He came out, took a little spin, went back on the bench, but the third line got more opportunity. in the second, after minimal in the first 2.5 minutes for Jack Wallace, and he was a really effective energy player for this American side. Look to see him perhaps get some more ice time, but it's been the big boys for the United States. On the back end, Landeros at over 20 minutes. Up front, Farmer at over 20 minutes. Those are the only two guys on the American side to hit that mark in this game so far, and Adam Dixon leads everybody with 22 minutes of ice time. He'll have to be a catalyst offensively for the Canadians if they want to tie this game. Of course, Dixon leads the tournament in scoring with 15 points, so he'll be a real key going forward here in the final 15.
It's an interesting characteristic that all these top-end players that provide the offense and are, of course, logging the minutes on the ice are also the ones delivering the big hits, too. So not only are they able to, as conditioned athletes, deliver that physicality, but equally deliver the goods on the skilled front, too, and it really just shows you just how multi-dimensional these para ice hockey players are, particularly these two teams here at the top of the game in this particular sport. We'll have a chance here now to probably look back on the match stats of the first two periods so far. And if they tell the tale of just where we're at, but they'll come back, we'll have an opportunity to look at those. But these two sides, we talk about the hitting game. I'm not sure we fully expected that we were going to see that much physicality out of both of these teams.
Well, the Americans certainly came out flying in the hit department to start the game off, and they made it known right away that that's how they're going to try to slow these Canadians down. Obviously, Canada is happy to reciprocate, throw some hits as well. I think we're going to see a very physical third period, but as we talked about a little bit earlier, it was mainly all Canada in the first, mainly all the United States in the second. It's going to be very interesting to see who comes out here and is able to push the pace of the play to start the third.
Well, for the most part, the stage is set for an enthralling and exciting now third period still awaiting us. We will pause for a moment. We'll join you with more coverage from our second intermission as we prepare for what promises to be a thrilling finish. And the team's just as keen to return to action as we are to witness it ahead of this third period at the Gangneung 2017 World Para Ice Hockey Championships. This is still the preliminary round, and this is after 2 periods of play. Both of these teams right in the middle of an almighty tussle here.
Well, a moment ago you heard "Welcome to the Jungle" on the loudspeakers, and that's fitting as we get set for the third period. This has been such a great physical game, a lot of great speed, great skill. See the shots on goal now, 7-5 in favor of Canada after a much better period by the Americans. 8-2 the penalty minutes, though, for the United States. They've taken 4 minor penalties. Brodie Roybal has 3 of them. It wouldn't surprise me if Roybal finds a way to impact this game in a more positive way in the third period as we get set for a great finish, but the Americans will have to stay out of the box as up 1 goal with 15 to play, giving Canada an opportunity with a power play could be devastating for them as we see the head coaches Ken Babby, Guy Gosselin getting ready for the third period. Interesting to see what Canada can do to start things here, as the momentum clearly shifted in favor of the United States in that last period. It'll be the top lines again, as it's been to start the game and to start the second. The Farmer line out against Westlake.
Well, you get a very real sense that it's maybe for the United States of America to lose this one. They look to be in charge. They reasserted themselves in that second 15 minutes and grabbed themselves into the pole position to now have this 2-1 lead. It's certainly not an insurmountable lead. It's just one shot away. But the Americans, if they can stay out of the penalty box, you would maybe give them the nudge that they're going to carry on and continue to play positively here and build towards the final buzzer at 45 minutes. But the Canadians will have other ideas, as Westlake is out against Farmer, as these two centermen await the drop of the puck. And it's the Norwegian official Lythke in behind him, just awaiting the central ice clock, the scoreboard clock, to count down to 0. And we will have liftoff again. And we are underway. You just want to see, is Bowden's going to take off here. Bowden does the end around. Bowden has a man in front. Can he get it across the Westlake? And they take it away. Landeros' skating ability is so exceptional. He seems to be able to match any player on the ice, and he's able to recover from great distances as well. As here comes USA again, as it's McKee offloading up to Farmer, and Farmer seems to be able to do anything he wants on that ice surface out front, and that's a real crazy hop. That could have easily gone off Arsenault's sled and right at goal.
Well, it was interesting there watching Westlake keeping pace with Farmer all the way down the ice. That's his check, and he did a good job to stay with him all the way from the American zone into the Canadian zone. And now McGregor with an opportunity, if he can catch it, maybe get a shot in the short side.
McGregor does try to. He comes around the other side. He gets hit hard, though, by Roy de Roybal, and maybe Roybal, again, a little bit fortunate not to have been penalized. You see him playing a little bit with reckless abandon, one might say, today. He's just been so emotional and wanting to play high-octane pair ice hockey, and he's been riding that thin edge right now between what is a positive and what could maybe be a little bit of a weakness for the Americans in the way they've executed a game plan, or not, as potentially Guy Gosselin in his eyes. But as you say, he could just as easily break this game open with a third goal here right now, could Roy de Roybal, and it could all be forgotten.
Roybal towing that line exactly. He came in with a big hit. He's been very involved in this game. The Americans an opportunity. A nifty little pass from Landeros and a quick shot on goal. Easy save, though, for Larocque.
That was Shaw's who filled that far lane, and he takes the shot immediately as it was available to him. And just a good, efficient play. It's always a good play to get the puck in on goal. Mistakes can happen, of course. Late deflections, anything can happen. It's always a good play, as now Canada right now have really been hemmed in below their own goal line, and as they're trying to make their way out, it's being anticipated well by the U.S. And now Canada need to recover, support the puck, but they've been miscued in trying to keep control of it. And this is for Larocque, who's going to keep it live, or is he? He's going to hold on to it, and we'll have our first whistle here of this third period.
Smart play by Larocque there. The Canadians were in their zone for a little while, and a good idea to cover the puck there. Get a whistle, get a line change. McGregor trying to go short side there. Cash went down, but McGregor couldn't get the puck up, and then in comes Roybal like a freight train. Sticks go flying, a bit of a yard sale.
Well, it's those plays we've seen a couple of times, and whether it's just momentarily after a player releases it, they get given basically a second or so, but timings have been tightened up in the sport of para ice hockey, as it has been in ice hockey, that when a player doesn't have the puck, you don't have a whole lot of allowance to finish your check if you'd already committed to it. As Bowden will come out of the zone, he's looking for his options. McGregor goes over the top here, and Canada just haven't been able to connect with their passes as well as they might like in this one. Sholomicki made that great play on Roybal, recovering the ice on him in that second period. It looked as though Roybal was going to get away at the time. Westlake, a long distance shot. Here's a rebound, and Sholomicki could make amends right here and find a way, but he couldn't get the handle quick enough. And immediately it's snuffed out, read well by the U.S. And Westlake is trying to make a play, but he's been covered down by Rico Roman. And here comes USA again. The Stars and Stripes are looking potent from here. As Adam Page now with this puck. And who has lost their stick? Is that Westlake? Westlake looking to utilize, or he's borrowing Page's. No, it's back. It's another player, rather. and it looked as though they were doing a little bit of trading of their sticks as McGregor gets involved with the hands up on that far side, and both teams just as willing to punctuate their play with a little bit of a physical snap about everything that they do. As Farmer has Bridges take that puck and that pass intention away, and Bridges just a little bit slow getting started, as McGregor will be the only one up for Canada, and he needs some support as 4 American players back, quick to keep an eye on Tyler McGregor.
The Canadians changing, but here comes Liam Hickey in support. He'll try to get the puck into the middle of the ice. It creates a battle in the corner as Hickey's happy to cover it up and wait for some more bodies in white to come and join him. Billy Bridges now in there in the battle as well.
They've done well here for a second, maybe Canada. Are they going to actually blow it for a whistle and saying that the puck has been brought to a standstill? And the referee right on top of it, he's done exactly that. As we'll have our first stoppage in play, as USA still with that 2-1 lead. It's close, but they certainly feel like they're in charge. No penalties as yet in this third period of play. And Canada developing a little bit of momentum on those 2 power plays that they enjoyed in that first 15 minutes of play. Right now they're going to have to create their own advantages through 5-on-5 and trying to outmaneuver this American defense, as it's Bowden who tries to come in and navigate things. This is a Bridges shot, and it's a wicked one, but it's forced all the way out and around. And now, handcuffing Dixon with the late decision to leave it for Bridges, and faked out his own teammate, and equally the 2 U.S. players as well that were right on top of the play. Delaney up to Bridges, and Bridges to the wide side. Dixon. Dixon, as you might expect, is going to have to be integral for Canada. Any scoring play, he's generally in and around the possibility of it, if not the execution of it for Canada, as Bowden is immediately met by the Americans. And Landeros will just put it to safety, and you get a sense right now that the U.S. are forcing the Canadians to have to make plays to beat them. They're not going to allow themselves to be beaten by just taking some of those unnecessary emotional penalties that they did early in the game. McKee down the near side. He's just going to go wide. And he'll be picked up here by Tyler Caron. Dixon's there. Dixon just smacks it out of the zone. Canada do well there to make sure to make a line change and to get some new energy out on the ice. McGregor, as soon as he gets the puck every single time, has got an American right on him. They are basically stamped right on Tyler McGregor. They see him as a real catalyst to opening up their defense potentially. His speed and his tenacity on the play, as this is McGregor a long ways from scoring and threatening in behind his own goal. But this is Bowden. Bowden will try to set the table for Canada. But this is a very relentless American forecheck right now, and they're creating confusion for Canada, as that's a very effective shift from the Stars and Stripes.
Well, the Americans look happy here to chip the puck in, let it go into the offensive zone, kill some time on the clock, let those seconds tick down as they have this 1-goal lead here. They're not making many risky plays right now, and it's smart. Make the safe percentage play, get the puck in, keep it away from your own net. 8:42 here to go in the third period. Canada, Westlake on the ice, and company as they look for some offense. Here comes Cozzolino.
Cozzolino in this unit with Westlake and McGregor. This is Dixon, who is the first forechecker from a defensive position coming all the way up. And Canada's needing a little bit more dimension to how they're going to engage this U.S. team in the offensive zone, as right now they just seem to be working hard to advance it, but not necessarily with a whole lot of purpose or productivity. And Cozzolino comes down low to see if he can't support the play, but Shaws has done a nice job of being disruptive this shift. He's done that all tournament for the United States, plays the body at every turn and gets in the way. More than anything, what the Americans are doing is getting in the way of the Canadians creating speed. They've not been able to have a whole lot of flow through the neutral zone, always having to deal with an American body in front of them, or certainly slowing them up. And that's been effective for the United States. This for Canada, they end up into each other, and Cozzolino disrupted. Here comes Rico Roman, and Bowden takes his lane away from him, and he does well. And Westlake now goes back, and every time they try to get something structured and put together, Canada, there seems to be good 4 or 5 American players behind the puck in a good defensive position.
A really smothering job here by the United States of America. Every time, like you talk about, the Canadians have the puck on their stick, there's at least one body right on them. And you get the sense at this point it might have to be a fast break or a turnover opportunity for Canada to get a good scoring chance. They haven't seen much. Although here's an opportunity for Hickey into the middle. But again, so many sweaters in blue right on him to take that space away.
And it has been a smothering brand of hockey being employed by USA. They've made sure that the Canadian players who excel with more time and space have had that taken away. Here's Declan Farmer. There's a loose puck. Declan Farmer might try to come around that corner and be dangerous. He's done so. They've kept him just at bay for the moment, but he reloads again. There's a play out front, and Bridges is going to find and take the tightrope to get himself forward. This is a 2-on-1 potentially for Canada as Bridges tries to fill the lane, but the Americans are back. Bowden could have a shot from here. Hickey will end up with one, but Cash is down. Is he out, though? Is there a chance to wrap it in? Cash is back in goal, but they're going to have to be smart here, Canada, as Bridges goes down low again. And Roybal's recovered, and he'll try to scoop the puck to himself to come up with it. And he does exactly that, but it's been kept in by Arsenault, and this is a good shift from Canada.
Cash is missing a stick and goal, so he'll need the Americans to get the puck out so we can get it back. It's so key for balance and to obviously use to stop the puck. It's sitting right behind the net, so Americans really have to clear it here, and it looks like they will.
Landeros goes and fetches that stick for him and makes certain that he does have it. He understands, even though they were breaking out of the time, how important it was for Cash to have that, to be feeling stable and important in goal. And just even those little things like that just indicates just how the Americans are aware and alert of how to make sure everybody's in a good position to perform at all times. As here comes Canada through the control of McGregor across this line. McGregor just levels it out to Bridges. Bridges tries to make a pass, but unfortunately, again, 3, 4 blue shirts in the way, not making anything easy for the Canadians entering into the offensive zone. Westlake scraps for a chance here to Cozzolino. Tyler Caron is up. He tries to put a hit on, and it's McGregor that immediately, again, attracts Roybal. Roybal to Arsenault. Arsenault with a shot. Farmer breaks it up. And Roybal could win this race. Roybal's going to try to go, and they do separate him from the puck momentarily, but that's enough.
Nice play by Dixon there to get just enough of him, just a piece. And then the support comes in, and the Canadians are able to get the puck back. The Canadians having a difficult time getting across the American zone with any kind of cohesion. Maybe better served to try to dump it and chase it and go win a battle and create opportunities that way. As you see again, the Americans clogging up the neutral zone, but here's Westlake.
It's a play to McGregor, and he goes high up over Cash, and that was as good a look as Canada have had in this period, and maybe you would say in the second half of this hockey game. McGregor comes right down the middle, but he gets too much of it up and over the bar.
That was no question the best look they've had in this period. McGregor wide open in the front of the slot, and he had a lot of net to work with. Delayed offside here against the Americans. It'll give the Canadians time. But we have a couple of sleds tangled up here, so the officials will get in there and separate those. There's 3 minutes and 51 seconds to go in the third period. Canada down by 1.
Well, one thing is for sure is the time in this hockey game seems to have gone faster than any other game that we've been a part of in this tournament so far. It is so enthralling on the ice. Of course, you get lost in the action, and we are only 3 minutes and 51 remaining in this third period, potentially the hockey game. And it has certainly just run along at a rapid pace as both of these teams have been ensnarled in top-level action, as you might expect every time these nations play against each other in any sport, let alone para ice hockey equally as well. Is coming across the line. It's Hickey, and this is Bowden. Bowden with the offload play to Bridges, and Bridges can snap from there. And Bridges, I think it has it deflected off of an American defender into the corner. And this is now a last push from Canada to try to get something in regulation time.
The puck cleared down the ice, so it'll be an icing against the United States. 3:15 to go in the third period. It'll give Canada another good opportunity in the offensive zone, but after we saw McGregor snap one over the net from the middle of the slot, Bridges an opportunity, and he uncorks one, not able to get it on goal as Cash manning the fort there for the United States. It's been a great game so far, and we're set up for a terrific finish.
Westlake takes this draw. McGregor steps in. Dixon there. It's in the body. Trying to scoop it around was Gazzolino. Trying to get to it, and he may have had just a little bit of room, but it was just beyond his left swinging arm with his stick in it. And now Canada back with 3 minutes to go in regulation. What a slick move that was there from McGregor as he finds a way to decoy the first forechecker from the United States. Gazzolino, maybe a play to the backside back to McGregor, but he seems more than any other player. Does McGregor seems to attract the defensive efforts, and there's Westlake off the blocker of Cash, and now you're going to start to see more of that. You wonder when Dominic Larocque might come out of the goal for the Canadians to see if they can push this through to extra time. As now it's just in a little bit of a trough over there as the players will battle in there. Westlake is trying to come up with it, and he's on his own right now as Gazzolino comes to support him. But look at this move by Declan Farmer as he just turns on an absolute dime and gets that puck out of the zone.
Good pressure here by the Canadians. They're doing all they can. The Americans, again, they've been so good in this third period of just clogging things up and not giving a lot of time and space to the Canadians, who have had 2 decent scoring chances, but other than that, it's been pretty much nothing for them. Under 2 minutes to go now.
And across that blue line is where things slow up, and it looks as though the Canadians are kind of entering into a little bit of a sandpit there as the Americans are able just to put up the fortress, put up the wall, and they aren't allowing any ease of movement in that range, nor are they allowing much speed to come through that area of the ice either, as this is Declan Farmer who has to go up against Arsenault. He gets pinched off there. He does well, though, equally just never seem to think that Roybal or Farmer are going to get tired out on the ice. They find a way to compete in all situations, defensively, offensively. They are the go-to guns for this American team as Hickey does a spin and turn, and they've lost it for a moment and need to be careful here, Canada, that they don't give up an easy chance for the U.S. late as we are closing in. It's a minute left to go in regulation. Billy Bridges is going to go here. Billy Bridges has got some room. Has he got enough room to get a shot off? He does. And Cash takes that one low. It comes out hard. It's a ricocheting rebound. It is cleaned up by the Americans, but Bridges finds a way to get it back on his stick again. Who and where will the pass end up as Bridges is looking for options? He lays it off for McGregor. McGregor's turned the corner. McGregor's in a dangerous position there for Canada. And this is a long ways from home is Cash. And he sweeps it up and he's suggesting, oh, he gets frustrated there, Cash. He was going to take a swipe at the Canadians. And now this could get a little bit nasty here at the end as both teams need to keep their level.
The net is empty for Canada. The goaltender has been pulled, and with the 6 men on the ice, they got a couple of good looks here. McGregor, great stick handling. He shoots it into the body of Cash. There's a rebound open there. And look at Cash coming out to find that puck. Everybody's battling for it. Tempers raising. And it looks like the face-off is going to come outside of the zone. So this is a huge break here for the Americans as the face-off comes outside of the zone. And we'll see if Canada decides to take a timeout here. It looks like they will. So Canada with a timeout. 35 seconds to go in the third period. They'll talk things over. Larocque is on the ice right now, so we'll see if maybe he'll decide to play halfway in the net. If Canada can gain possession of the puck, he could be on his way to the bench. As Ken Babby draws it up for his Canadian team here, they'll have to get something going quick.
Well, the unfortunate part, as you say, for Canada, as a result of so many players coming in there to assert themselves against that long puck that Cash was trying to retrieve to get that whistle, they've drawn the defenseman in, which has forced this whistle, or the face-off rather, outside of the zone, and now Larocque is in, so it's 5-on-5, and then they'll have to just see how things go as to whether or not they can get the favor of another skating player to come out and to provide some advantage for Canada. But Canada have done their best. They've certainly gone strong, they've got heavier, and certainly more determined in the later stages of this hockey game, but you wonder whether or not those 2 goals, the second one there from Declan Farmer, is that going to be a difference maker in this hockey game? As this draw is key, but it's won by the Americans, and it'll just be lobbed into an area that forces Larocque to stay in goal right now for Canada. And here they come, Canada across this line. Larocque comes out, McGregor's there, McGregor shoots, Cash makes the save, and immediately with the glove hand, he has it in his clutches, and the referee closely keeping an eye. He doesn't advance it. He'll keep it for a defensive zone face-off against the Americans.
Nice speed there by the Canadians into the zone. Cash can see it all the way, though, and that's a rather routine save for him. The net is now empty. Larocque is on the bench. And it sets up a 6-on-5 opportunity. The Canadians line up 4 across. Big draw here, won by Canada.
They do well to take it. It's an offload. Dixon down low to Bowden, right in front here for Bridges. He looked to be, for a moment, uncontested. The Americans squeeze him out last second. They bounce it off, and Declan Farmer comes up with it. Farmer will just play it in the neutral zone. Roybal might get himself. Rather, that is Josh Pauls, and that is going to be it. USA, on the strength of a couple goals in that second period, are going to find a way to win a hockey game, and they will now, at the moment, level with Canada at the top of this group.
What a phenomenal game played by 2 terrific teams, 2 great hockey nations. We had every idea that it was going to be a close finish and it was going to be a tightly contested game. It was nothing short of dramatic. The Americans come out on the right end of it with a 2-1 win as Canada closing the gap a little bit in terms of the results they've seen in the past, in the recent past against the United States, but still not quite enough. Some great opportunities in the last couple of minutes for Canada. Steve Cash coming up big. The team defense was key in blocking some shots. And that was a terrific finish to a terrific hockey game. Well played by both teams.
Well, what became very clear as the game went on was the ability of the United States to close down the time and space of the Canadian players, particularly as they tried to advance across that blue line. You saw it time and time again how Tyler McGregor seemed to have 2 blue shirts on him, sometimes 3. And immediately you thought McGregor might be one of the faster players to advance the puck over the offensive blue line for Canada, and he just wasn't given that opportunity. Bridges and Westlake are great shooters in their own right, in good position, but the speed was what became noticeable that the Americans were able to display in greater spells than the Canadians in that particular game.
It was a good shutdown period there by the Americans. You talk about how they were able to swarm the Canadian players. We get set for our player of the game announcements. We take a look at both sides. Just such a great battle by these 2 teams, and if this does end up being a gold medal game, which it very well could be, you'd be hard-pressed to find 2 more deserving candidates the way they battled each other. A tremendous hockey game. We'll see who is named player of the game from each side, but Declan Farmer, another possibility for the Americans. He had a couple of points in this game. From Canada, well, there's a few deserving candidates. Adam Dixon certainly played enough of the game. He's a leader in ice time. We'll go down to ice level and listen in.
And a good applause for both teams as they acknowledge the special guest and the dignitary to present the Player of a Game awards from the Pyeongchang Paralympic Committee, Organizing Committee, as the Player of the Game for Canada to be selected and to be awarded first. So Brad Bowden gets the honor of the player of the game, and he equally a worthy selection with all the ice time that he logs in the hockey game as well.
Real spark plug on the back end for Team Canada. He's such a furious skater. He really gets the shoulders going when he moves up the ice. He moved the puck very well for this team. He was engaged physically. Obviously, not the result he was looking for, as you see there, kind of a half smile. He's happy to be named player of the game, but little consolation coming out on the wrong end of a 2-1 game against the Americans.
And maybe even Cash is a possible selection for the Americans. Had to make a couple key saves today, but Declan Farmer would be a good choice as well. But it's Kevin McKee, number 88, who will be given the award. And McKee, a sturdy and probably the lesser known of the top line, Declan Farmer, Brodie Roybal, and Kevin McKee. And McKee does his job out there to make sure to keep that trio together. And he's very dependable, very capable of continuing to make sure those two guns are always firing.
All that's left now is to hear the Star-Spangled Banner as the winning team has their national anthem played. Nice photo opportunity here, Bowden, McKee. Can't say it enough, phenomenal game between these two teams. And if they are to meet once more in this tournament, you can bet everybody here will be excited to see it happen.
And now, as customary, both teams will shake hands, and you just get a very real sense that, of course, the Canadians, good sports in this one, but this is a sour taste for them to digest their first defeat coming against the Americans, which, of course, they obviously have this great rivalry within the sport. And just wonder whether or not there'll be some adjustments made and equally some learning that goes in from this match that will help both of these teams as they better prepare for what could be potentially. There's no certainty. Remember, Canada beat Republic of Korea 2-0 in their preliminary match, and so the Americans are still yet to take on the Republic of Korea. Anything could go in that particular game, as the hosts have been very capable of making life difficult for all of their opponents, and also very successful at being opportune when they've been given the chances on the ice.
Yeah, very good point by you, no question about it. The Koreans are certainly capable of surprising a team here or two in this tournament. Victory over Norway that maybe not a lot of people saw coming, so not a lock that these two teams will be playing for a gold, but there is certainly a possibility, and if that is the case, if it's any indication what we just saw, it would shape up to be a great game if they are to play again in this tournament. But a lot of fun to watch in this game. We'll take a look at our third period highlights in just a moment, and this was a great job by the Americans. We wondered in the second intermission, what would the third period look like? The Canadians, the better team in the first, the Americans, the better team in the second. More even in the third period. The Canadians had some chances, but the Americans did such a good job. As you talked about earlier, every time there was a Canadian player with the puck, you would just see a swarm of Americans come in and blanket them. and they did a good job of suffocating those Canadian players. Some good opportunities late for Canada. Definitely quality opportunities to tie the game, but Steve Cash was money when he had to be.
Well, as we talked at the opening of the show, Canada was going to have to be almost clinical, almost perfect with the chances they were given. They made the most of it by getting the opening goal from McGregor. It was a loose puck opportunity. And then when they tried to create chances here in the third period, they didn't come very easily. But when they did get them, they had to make sure they made them count or at least hit the net. There was a couple chances, McGregor and Bridges I can think of, that had pretty good looks for Canada in that third, and they ended up going high and wide. And you have to make sure that when you're playing an opponent like the Americans, that you're going to be efficient with your shooting. And of course, you're going to need to have sometimes a game-breaking goal that maybe was against the run of expectation. You're just going to find a goal from somewhere, like the Landeros goal. It was just a fantastic created play, and he's able to make that kind of from something from nothing to level the hockey game at 1.
And we saw the last highlight that we just saw there, Billy Bridges, an opportunity in close. He just couldn't get that right hand on the puck, and that could have been a really exciting goal for Canada, obviously, to be able to tie it in the final seconds. It went down to the wire. We all thought that it would, and it was a brilliant game played by both teams. Brilliant game played by the American goaltender, Steve Cash, as well. He faced 12 shots in this game. He stopped 11 of them. A lot of high-quality opportunities for Canada, but it was the money man getting it done from the United States, as we hear from the American goaltender.
Just same focus, not having too many peaks or valleys. You know, just having confidence that the guys are going to keep the shots to the outside, and you know, obviously you have to do your part, and no matter if it's a goalie, defender, or forward, you're going to do your job out there, and as long as you do that, good things will happen.
And Team USA is still undefeated here at this tournament. How have you guys kept level heads out there throughout this entire event?
I think, you know, obviously we have a lot of chemistry out there. A lot of the guys, well, all of us get along. So on and off the ice, there's that. You know, the facility's great. Everyone's taking care of us here, making sure that, you know, we're performing to the best of our abilities. And I think as long as we're, you know, buying into what the coaches are telling us to do during practice and during games and execute, that's going to be our biggest strength.
And if you're out there again against Canada in the medal round, would you make any adjustments?
No, I don't think so. The only tweak that I think we would make compared to this game is, you know, have a better start. First period didn't really resemble USA hockey in their style of play, so we picked it up in the second period, and I would say moving forward, as long as we play like we did in the second and third, we'll be all right.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
And you see there Steve Cash, 11 saves of the 12 shots on goal today, 91.67. His number is not quite as strong as maybe you see at other times for Steve Cash, but when he had to make saves today and he only has that many shots to work with, he was the player that USA needed him to be to help be a difference in the hockey game.
He did a phenomenal job in this game, and there was a couple of those quality opportunities late in the game that we talked about, and he was equal to the test. That's why you call him the money man. He's a money goaltender, and what that means is that he makes the big saves when the big saves have to be made. That's what we saw from Cash in this game. 12 shots for the Canadian team, 8 for the Americans. We mentioned it at the top of the broadcast. Canada had not allowed a goal coming into this game. We knew that would likely change facing a very stiff competition in the United States, but that's how good Canada was, locking things up, a perfect 4-0 record entering this game. So a big victory for the Americans here. The Americans still have a game in hand on Canada, rather, as the United States of America did not play on day 1 of the tournament, so they're in a really good position now to win this preliminary stage.
And of course, Republic of Korea, the host, taking on Sweden. In the Republic of Korea, they have 2 wins, they have 1 loss. Can they go ahead and keep winning and keep themselves in that top 3 bracket? That's coming up at 7 o'clock local time, so make sure to join us for our coverage of the action there. And it has been a great day of hockey so far, as expected. We've all been anticipating this Canada how this gold medal game is potentially going to shape out.
I want another 45 minutes right now. That was unbelievable. I can't believe that it's over, and it was what we all expected it to be, a phenomenal finish. And even though the score was 2-1, and that in itself is good enough for a lot of fans watching, the fact that it really did go right down to the wire. Canada had great opportunities inside that final minute of play. It was as good of a game as we could have hoped for between 2 great countries, and if they are to meet again, I'm sure everybody in and around this tournament will be gathered here to watch this game. It's so much fun to watch. This truly is para ice hockey at its highest level between these 2 teams. But now we're getting excited to watch the Republic of Korea, who have surprised some teams already, and the Swedes looking for their first win of this tournament as well. So an exciting game to come up to finish day number 5 here.
So 2/3 the way through Game 5, and some might say the tournament's just getting started. There is so much more hockey still to come. Make sure you join us for 7 o'clock here local time, wherever you're watching around the world. For Brent Pope and for Mike Kelly, it's been our pleasure. We'll share more with you later here from the Gangneung 2017 World Para Ice Hockey Championships, and it will just keep rolling until game day number 8, which is this Thursday, as we have one more game to go today.